Ladies and gentlemen, citizens, meatbags, welcome to Neo Tokyo's official Interlinked podcast. Today, we have the two leaders of playable games. We have Jonathan and we have Jet. Welcome, gentlemen. How you doing?
We're good, thanks. Two of
Good,
four.
good. Yeah.
Two of four. Two of the legendary ones. We also have the magical, the almighty, the powerful crypto theist, Mr. Nick. How you doing, my friend?
Doing wonderful. Excited to get into some crypto gaming. Stoked to be joined by you, Jonathan, and you, Jet.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome, guys. Well, you guys are citizens. You have been for a while. You have a really interesting story that we want to dig into. Have a couple of topics too at the end that we can jump on and get your thoughts on. But would love to just dive in and I know you guys have told the story before, but just to have it on the record for the pod. Would love to hear the story of playable games, how it all came to be, and get that origin officially on the pod.
What's up, crypto gamers? Huge shout out to our sponsor, Playable Games. They are inspired by gamers and funded by their community. They have a epic game on the Epic Games Store, a third-person shooter called Nexus. Hop on in there and check that out. They're also currently selling nodes, so if you're interested, check that out at their website, playable.games. That is a 3 instead of a B on playable. Now strap in for the rest of this episode of Interlinked.
Okay, Jet.
Oh, is that my job?
you no, sorry, that's a joke.
For the audience, Jed is amazing, and we had to do a little arm twisting to get you on the video and the pod because it seems like you're not as big of a fan of coming to talk. So it's a very special treat for us here to have you on the pod here, just so the fans are clued into this little joke we have going.
Yeah, Jet's idea of talking for an hour to someone about playable games is like, in his actual words, I'd rather blow my brains out. So he's here under protest. But
That's right.
Ben and Nick thought it might be a good idea. So, well, yeah, Jet, maybe you tell how we like the NFT story and what happened there, and then how that rolled into playable.
I play a lot of World of Warcraft, and must have been in like 2018 or something, 2019. One of my friends said, "Let's buy some Dogecoin," and I just said, "Okay." I made a bit of money from playing World of Warcraft. I just sold carries and sold gold and all that stuff when I was like 15, and then so I had some money around, and then I bought $100 worth of Dogecoin. Dad wasn't happy I did that because from Dad's point of view, and to be fair, it still is basically a meme coin, and it had no real value behind it besides the community, I guess, that it built. And so I made $8 on that, and I sold it, and I moved on to NFTs, and I bought my first Deadhead. I don't know if you ever know what that NFT collection was, but they were these like cute little cartoon looking things, and they were doing like I think they were doing a show or something. I don't really know. They looked cool, so I bought them. And that was
Well,
the
this was the
journey.
height of, was it 2021? Early 2021?
Yeah, probably.
And it was NFT mania. Like, it was crazy. So,
Well, that was
and
before it. And that got us started into it. And then we started looking at other NFT collections.
well,
And
that was
then
1,500 you spent on that, wasn't it? On one NFT.
yeah. I think Aussie, so it was about 1,000 US. I think it was 0.23 ETH back then, whatever that was.
Well,
Um,
ETH was coming up towards 4,000. So, yeah.
yeah. So and then I bought that, and then I was gonna they gave you the 3D printing um things of the NFT so you could 3D print it. That never happened. Don't know why. Um, and then we bought a bunch of, and then we just started doing the NFT stuff because I started just playing around there, and I realized, well, if we minted an NFT that everyone was liking, and then 24 hours later we could sell it for 3 or 5 times what we bought it for. That sounded good to us. So we did that for 3 months.
We were getting up at 3 a.m. in Aussie time to be on the launch, like this. It's like we were up at 3 a.m. to be on the launch of the NFT. And then we'd done the research the day before to find the 4 or 5 collections we wanted to buy into. And so, and then we'd buy the ones we wanted to buy. Sometimes you got lucky, sometimes you didn't. And that was all fun all in itself. And that's part of the craze.
My brother and I, a year before that, we bought a Gala node we split a Gala node at $6,700. So we bought one of those. So obviously we did really well with that. And then with the rest of the money we had, we used that to fund buying NFTs. And then from there we made I think by the end of it, turned like $5,000 into like 50 or 75,000 US. And then we used that to make an NFT collection. That did not go well. We did that bang on the end of the NFT craze where people wouldn't buy anything they saw. So that was unlucky timing. And then after that, we tried to relaunch that with some more utility and stuff. And then that also didn't work. So Dad saw a video on Alex Becker, and he said, if you want to make real money, make your own token. So Dad thought, let's copy Gala Games. We like gaming. We like and we've been a part of their ecosystem for 2 years. We know what's what. Let's see if we can be the Pepsi to their cola. So we did, and now here we are, really.
Yeah, there's a couple of steps in there that you sort of glossed over, but Becca said you can spend all your time trying to trade coins and you're at the mercy of what the market actually does. He says the real key is to build something. Because if you build something and you get that right, that is your 1000x when you build something. Whereas when you're trading, you're chasing 5x's or 10x's and sometimes 100x or 1000x. But if you build something, you really do get your 1,000, 10,000 million x. So, and that really struck a chord with me. I thought, okay, that really is true. And being entrepreneurial, that wasn't a scary thing for me. It was just, I've got to really nail down the right thing to put the energy into. And so, as Jet said, we knew about Gala, but what had happened in between times, I'm a marketer by profession. I've got a master's degree in marketing. I had a contract with a gaming studio in Melbourne called Melbourne Interactive Studios. And I was doing marketing for them. And one of the things they said was, the trouble with being a dev is that we're just always fucking broke. Like all the time we're broke. We're just trying to build these beautiful games. They're super expensive. They're super time consuming. And yet we've never got any money. And there's all the figures that go with that. There's 850 games a week being released actually those figures are old. There's probably more now. But this was back 2 years ago. 850 games a week being released on the Steam, let alone what's on Epic and other platforms, let alone Web3. So 850 games a week being released out into the world, and you're hoping yours is going to be the one that's going to pay back the last 4 years you spent building it, you and your 5 mates. So it's a really uphill battle. So we'd raised $1 million for them through Gala. I wrote to Gala, got in touch with Jason, and he put me in touch with like a team around him. And within 2 months, we had $1 million. So $1 million Aussie, which was 800,000 US. But forget that. The money's the same in Australia and America. So it buys the same thing. So if you give us 800,000, it buys us $1 million worth of stuff you'd be able to buy in America. We can buy $1 million worth of stuff in Australia. So same sort of thing. So yeah, short end of the stick is we had the proof that it could work, that Gala could work. And we thought this was really interesting that it's solving a dev problem that's really deep. It's all the way through the dev industry. So if you can find good dev teams that are young and enthusiastic and powerful and moving forward, and give them the money and the business behind them. So the other part of this was I realized I'm 58, obviously Jet's 21 and his brother's 22. So we had this real understanding of what it takes to run a business, because my wife and I have run multiple businesses through the years. And all of that stuff is the exact opposite of what devs like doing. So running a business is a pain in the ass. It's time consuming. You spend time trying to get funds. You spend time paying taxes. You spend time, all the stuff that doesn't make games. So we sort of thought there's this really nice synergy that Gala's got going, where they're providing the backbone, they're providing all the hard stuff, and the gaming devs get the money and then put that to good use. Now there's 1,000 other problems with that, but that was the basic premise. And so with Jet and Sam's money, we literally borrowed the money off them. They put the NFT money up that we'd made and said, all right, well, let's roll the fucking dice one more time. And this time it landed on black, and the rest is history. We raised $8 million in 3 or 4 weeks. And we got the very last breath of the 21 bull market. And so this was February 2022. And literally by the end of the first week, we could see it just dropping like a brick. And so 2 months later, it was like we were in the bear. It was on. And it was scary, and we were just watching the stats just go ching, 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 just ratcheting down. So, yeah, that was the beginning.
That's bonkers.
We got a good launch. We got a really nice launch. We were just saying last night, we got a really nice launch. We're in the right time at the right place with the right product. And we had all the experience, everything. It was literally all ducks lining up in a row. It was opportunity meeting preparedness, is the old saying. It was, everything just went exactly right. So,
100%.
which is not very duplicatable, but yeah. So,
well, I got to say, Jet, that was a fantastic trade. Bootstrapping the company with your NFT funds. I mean,
don't think he ever lets us remember it and forget
it. Well, I kept rolling it into NFTs, and eventually that went bust. So rolling it into a business was the move.
We still have 90 NFTs we bought that are all just a fucking useless.
Oh, we got some of those over here too.
Well, so let's do a deep dive into the ecosystem, because I think what you guys have actually done is something really cool. And from my understanding, what you've built is you have a node system where that is powering an ecosystem of games. You have your bull token, which is critical to the ecosystem. And then you have a slew of games. So I think you guys have committed to a certain number of games every year for a certain amount of years. But then in addition to your own first party IP, you also will have third party or second party. I'm getting lost in that analogy. But independent studios that are coming to you and they're kind of plugging into your ecosystem. So you're helping them solve the platform issue, and they get to solve the content issue for you guys. So they bring the great content and the great dev work and the team and the games, and you guys provide the platform. Is that an accurate understanding of what's going on? And maybe you can kind of help us flesh that out and really do a deep dive into the model and how it all works.
Yeah, well, that's pretty accurate. Yep. Our blessing was that the first studio we paid a shit ton of money to buy couldn't build the game. And it was our first one. And we only had enough money to buy one. So we actually bought 2. But we had more. Obviously, we had enough money to buy 2. But Gala bought 38. And I think Gala's still paying the price for that. Because if they had 38 times the problems we had, you talk about wanting to blow your brains out. I mean, it was insane. The devs didn't know they didn't know.
Yeah, everyone thinks they need the money, which is true. They need the money, but they also need someone who can finish the project and get it finished. and know what is important to work on to get the game released, not what they want to do. They were interested in doing sounds and adding a video thing into the game when you can just look up on YouTube, like stuff that is just not necessary for the game, but they felt like doing, and they waste time and money on that, and it's really hard to get them off
Yeah.
that.
Well, we can quantify that. So when we bought it, we thought we'd bought a game that was 80% finished. All right. That's what they sold us. And us with no dev experience, so just lots of money to buy a gaming studio with. They looked like a gaming studio. They acted like a gaming studio. They were young and powerful and jumping around. They had a good looking game that was sort of like, it looked like the bare bones were all in, and now all they had to do was add polish to it. So to us, it looked great. When we hired Daniel Visser, so Daniel Visser's ex-Wicked Witch, he built Wicked Witch from the ground up, 200 plus games released, contracted by Microsoft to build the final version of Age of Empires. Still, Wicked Witch still runs that. He sold Wicked Witch. They actually bought, who bought it? Do you remember who bought it, Chet? I don't know. But Tencent bought it. So, but they actually bought the dev team. So he had 80 devs. And so that's what's happening now is these big companies like Blizzard just bought Spellbreak's dev team, their 200-person dev team. So they hunt these dev teams out that are super experienced and just buy the whole dev team, and they get those devs to work on World of Warcraft and whatever else they're building. So so it's a really interesting thing that's happening. And so again, these monopolies, the big players are stealing all the talent. And again, another reason why Web3 needs to get in here and fund it from the ground up, so we can keep some of the talent away from. You just don't want two supermarket chains. It never ends well. You know, two car companies, two petrol stations. When there's only ever two battling it out, where they can ring each other and say, "Hey, how about we just keep our prices the same?" It's not a good look. It doesn't work well. So they didn't know that they didn't know, and Daniel says that. Daniel says that the first problem with game development is the last 10% of the game is 50% of the work. So everyone thinks they're 80% done, but they haven't even got to 40% yet. So Daniel, we flew Daniel, Jet jumped on a plane with Daniel and Bo, the two lead devs from Glinda. So we should explain Glinda Games quickly, what Glinda Games is.
Me?
Hmm.
I think Glinda Games is a company that Daniel has spun up after the one he sold to just do some
well, we hired
stuff.
We hired Daniel to actually be our head of games, but when we found this problem with the dev team, we needed an internal team. So we asked Daniel to actually start building an internal team for us. And then, of course, you're working cross country, so that he needs a company in Australia, and we're in Dubai. So Glinda Games is born, which is actually, I don't know if you know the story, but the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz, and Glinda is the Good Witch. So
that's great.
That was his joke. We'll now make another company, a new version of Wicked Witch, but it's going to be the Good Witch this time. But yeah, sorry, Jet, go on.
Yeah, and so now we have we needed to make the dev team to finish this game, which is Nexus. And so he's built up I think it's now 14 or 13 person dev team, including him and his producer Bo Barnett. And they're now
they're both 20-year experience veterans, hundreds of games between them. So, but Bo and Daniel have worked together for the last 10 years, but two different studios. Bo owns Oceanic, and Daniel owned Wicked Witch, and they collaborated on several things. So Bo made the King Spin for Shane Warne, the cricket player, 3D, one of the first 3D games, which apparently I've never played it because I don't have 3D gear, but apparently it was amazing even back then. And so Bo's a whiz with that sort of stuff. So Oceanic specializes in 3D, and we've got plans for that coming down the line. What we were talking about before with the amphitheater, that's part of what's coming with that. So, but this experience that they bring, we jumped them on a plane, and Jet, that's your story because you actually went. So off to Marquette in Chicago.
Yes.
Sorry, where is it? Where's
I think
Marquette?
Chicago. No, I think it is. It's like top right of America. Let's have a look. Marquette.
What state is Chicago in?
Illinois.
Yeah, Marquette, Illinois. That's where the dev team was.
Marquette City in Michigan. No, it was Michigan.
Oh,
Oh,
Michigan.
right next
Yeah.
door. Or
Okay.
my geography there is not great. Close.
It's a big country.
Oh yeah. So Marquette in Michigan, it has one of the biggest lakes or something in America. People like going ice skiing there. So yeah, we went over there and we had to check out the dev team, and
It became pretty obvious within a day of being there that we were in real trouble, wasn't it?
yeah, it wasn't looking good. It looks like the guy hired his friends from Woolworths instead of people to get the job done, which was what the money was for, not to hire people from Woolworths that were his friends. He needed to hire actual like developers to help him finish the game because from what we assessed, him and his lead programmer were pretty good. They weren't bad. The project was obviously a long slog over 4 years. So it was a little messy and messier than it should have been, but that's what you expect on a first game and a baby of his like it was. But yeah, it concluded that like the two leads basically knew what they were doing. Um, but um, but the rest of them didn't. They were just friends. Um, One of the
So
guys
he'd
he
been
hired was
hired.
literally his worst friend,
Yeah,
and
he was hiring his friends,
said
saying, "Hey, you can learn how to do this."
on the job, and it was cheap. It was cheap. Like he wasn't paying them a lot, and they didn't know anything, but he was paying them like he was still paying them, and they didn't know very much. And so that came very quickly when we did all these interviews and checked out the team. And yeah, it's just a pity. We gave the guy a really good opportunity to step up and the money that as every developer cries for to finish his game, and he chose that route instead. Um,
Yeah, we're
so
watching
yeah,
100 grand US a month, just every month, click, 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 going into that dev team, and we're not getting the game progressing. The game was just going sideways. And so when Daniel and Bo landed there with Jet, they immediately called a team meeting. Half the team didn't turn up. They were, oh yeah, we can't come in today. And like, so basically we read the riot act and said, well, you better be in here tomorrow or else there will be no job for you the next day. And so we're trying to manage this over the phone with Bo, and Daniel are both fairly new to the company. So they were wondering how much power they had and what do they do and what's your goal here? And Jet's on the phone to me like twice a day trying to fill me in with what's going on. And we've got our CEO involved and we're all on the phone. And it went from we've got a problem to then we hit the dev didn't want to fix the problem. He wanted to keep saying he was going to fix it, but not actually sack his friends, not find proper devs. And so we realized within about a week, I think you were there for a week, were you, Jet?
yeah, 10 days.
Yeah. So we realized near the end of the 10 days, it was not going to get done. It was like we were literally going to be wasting. And the trouble with crypto is it's not our money. So I'm very aware of that the money that we're custodian of is people have trusted us to build something with it. So
Yeah,
this was really pissing us off. Like we're a family business, so it's my wife and I and the two boys, and we've been broke, and we came to crypto with the hope that we could get that 10,000x because we needed to. When I came to crypto, I'm 58 now, so I was 50. Well, I got into crypto at 2017 very briefly, but I didn't buy anything much except Bitcoin and a couple of pieces of shit. But which you always do when you join something brand new, you find the biggest, hottest, glowing thing and you buy it, thinking it'll, whatever. So, but like crypto is like I spent a lot of time thinking about what crypto is to everyone, and it's our chance to be a VC. It's the poor person's chance to actually get the opportunities the VCs get every day. So Amanda caught up with a friend. Amanda's my wife. She caught up with a friend from school out of country Australia. It's just hilarious. Here we are. She's having dinner with him in Dubai. He's just flown his team from around the world to Dubai and paid $45,000 for the night for 1 minute, one meal for his team in Dubai. And Amanda's sort of like, hang on a tick, how much? And how much are you worth now? And he's from country, Australia, and he's worth a lot. And it's just I've lost my train of thought there where I was going,
but as custodians of the cash, you have to make sure that everything stays on point, things get done, deadlines get met, and that a product actually goes to market.
Yeah. So that was, so that was really key as to why, as we learned that on our first game, we were really lucky because it would have sucked if we learned it next year when we have 10 times the money to buy 10 times the games, and we learnt it with 5 of those games or 7 of those games or 8 of those games.
That's what we think has happened with Gala. We think part of Gala's issue right now is that they're not building a step-by-step process. They're trying to put all these fires out that come with just, you've bought 38 games, and on paper it looks like a great idea to be buying these dev teams, but in reality, to manage these, and you're not just managing people, you're managing egos, and you're managing desires, and you're managing nebulous things that you can't control. So it all sounds great to say, hey, Ben and Nick, let's work together. Let's build something great. As one of my very old friends from Australia says, it always starts out as friends, but it rarely ends that way. So let's do some contracts. Let's work out what we're all talking about. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Let's make sure that and this is one of the things we talk about in Playable all the time. What's best for Playable Games? And that means our community and where we're heading. And what's the alignment? Are we aligned? Are we actually all, like when you're working on a big ship, you've got to set the sails together. You can't set the sails so they're pulling different directions. Everyone's got to be doing the same. And when you say we're pulling up that sail, everyone has to get that sail up now. It's all team go, And so if you're not aligned, it doesn't work very well. So you've got to get all that right. And I think that's the real quagmire with this. And so now for the last 2 years, Daniel and Bo have been helping us realize and build out the systems we need. Now we're going to get this next influx of cash, and we'll be in Gala's position that they were when they bought 38 teams. We've got a complete system now that we're going to be following to make that happen. So the first thing we've done is the internal team will grow under Bo and Daniel's management, and they will be responsible for those 3 games a year. So now we've got other teams we can use, but they might, Starve and Martian, which is one we've got in alpha right now. That's a small game. It's a desktop. It will be a mobile, but it's a desktop. We build into desktop first because it's just easier, and then you add the mobile in second. So when there's a mobile component, Nexus won't have a mobile component. It's too powerful. You can't do it. But or not yet. But Starve and Martian is a smaller game and doesn't need a whole year to develop. So that could be put off to a different team that they get managed. But those 3 games a year are definitely going to be done internally. And then, Ben, we've got that platform you were talking about that we're building out for these people like that first dev team to come to, but there's a rigorous alignment, locking in, cog into cog. You do it our fucking way or it won't be done. And this is the rules you have to follow. And this is how it's going to work. And we're going to make a proper dev out of you. You won't get to be the artsy fartsy. Oh, but I really want that to be pink. And I know it's going to cost $100,000 to make it pink, but let's do it. Well, no, that's not good commercial sense, mate. Let's keep it green for now. Maybe on the next rotation we'll make that pink when we're changing all the other colors. So And that's where Daniel and Bo, just their experience and the amount of times Daniel just goes, yeah, no, that's not going to work. And we're like, why can't it work? And he's just like, because. And he can actually, in a sentence or two, he can say why it's so hard. And that commercial acumen, that ability to be able to come right down to the nitty gritty of why things work and why they won't, and for a management team to be able to just immediately see the weight of something and the cost, both monetary and time, that is the advantage we've got going for us right now. We've really got that, and we've had 2 years of, I'll use the word peace. We've had 2 years of peace to get our war engine ready. So it's been really good. We're really stoked.
That's awesome, and really a story that I think a lot of founders inside of Neo Tokyo can learn from. Some really good dev lessons there. For the sake of the audience and for myself, because I'd love an ending to this story. So you get down there, Nexus is in bad shape, the team you're not happy with. How did you bring that situation to what Nexus is now available on the Epic Game Store? Saw the trailer looking crisp. So if you could fill us in on the end there.
Well, the end's really simple. We had to let the team go. So we lost
Some money,
a lot of
man.
money. A lot of money. We lost a lot of money. They won and we lost. He's done well out of it. In a few drinks in, I would say stole money from us, because there was lies and deceit there. But we learned a lot from it. And where we got very lucky was with Daniel and Bo. They saved us, and they hired. In Australia, we have the SAS, which is the akin to that's the British Special Service, so it's, Special Air Service. Australia has an SAS as well. So since Australia and Britain are basically, Australia's a colony of Britain, but that's akin to your Navy SEALs. So they're the elite of the elite. They're every country has a version of this, and apparently the Navy SEALs, the SAS, the Russian, whatever their one is, and the
Spetsnaz.
Jewish, yeah. So there's a few of them that are like the real top elite groups. So Daniel's built that. We have a 12-person dev team where the most inexperienced person is 5 or 7 years, and the majority of them are 15 years. So, like Epic Games asked Daniel to meet them in Germany for Gamescom to explain how he built Nexus in 9 months. Now, it wasn't as Daniel explained to them, it wasn't quite we built Nexus in 9 months, because we had bought the other game. So we had the idea and we had the working knowledge. The other game was built in Unreal Engine 4, and as Jet said before, it was an absolute fucking mess. The code had been built over 4 years and it was broken. And so when Daniel and Bo looked at it, they just said, we can't use it. So
it's better for the future of the game to rebuild it and use
from the ground up,
5.2, which Epic is working really hard on making that the best engine to build games on. So using 5, they used 5.1, and then before we released Nexus, they had just released 5.2. No, I think we were using 5, and then it was 5.1, and so we moved on to 5.1 just before we released.
And Epic was surprised that Daniel had chosen to use 5.1, and why did you do that? And he went and explained to them, and they were really impressed with the quality of the game and how fast it had been built. So we had that tragedy at the beginning. We had that luck of meeting Daniel and Bo, and then their ability to know, and that's part of the problem too. If you're not a super experienced dev who's run big teams before, how do you hire super experienced devs? So, because everyone tells you they're shit hot when they walk through the door. And so you've got to know. So Daniel's got a complete setup that he uses to find out what people know and all that. So all that's just been, and I'll put that into what I call the blessing category. We've just got really lucky there. And those people, they're key people to our group, our environment. And they're locked up in very nice contracts to make sure they stay. So we understand their value, and we want to make sure that this is a crypto is once you get it right, it is your exit plan, and that's where Becca's got it 100% right. So I've got years of experience of going from broke project to broke project, and just grinding it out. And Amanda and I have done that multiple times. And to be in this situation where the money is available, the product is available, like we're building games, and we're living the dream. Like, it is great fun. Aren't we, Jed?
Yeah.
Jed, being in your super early 20s and running a, multi-million-dollar company, like what is that like for you, being as young as you are? I mean, obviously age doesn't define character or skill, but still it's would love to get your thoughts on that, because I know there are a lot of young crypto founders too out there.
I mean, age certainly is a problem, as most people don't like being told what to do by a 21-year-old. And I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can tell people what to do. But my dad has obviously loads of experience and certainly running his own teams and helping out with that. And Mickey, our CEO, who has 3 business degrees as well, is helping me out. But I'm not running the company. I'm helping per se, but I'm shaping up to learn a lot from these two to help me run the company, hopefully in 5 or 10 years.
So Jet's being shaped to run the business side. So that's Jet's interest. He likes money. He likes the actual business side. He does like money. And Sam, his brother, is almost diametrically opposed. Sam has just finished his diploma in game development and is going back to do a degree in game. So we told someone the other day, Sam's just finished his degree. And they said, didn't he just start that? I said, yeah, that was 2 years ago when we started the company. That was one of the things we said to Sam was, you can't end up 2 years down the track and not be further. We need you to become a dev. You need to actually, because he actually loves games that way, that deeply. And so it has been, again, a lucky coincidence that Jet wants to run the business and Sam wants to run the game side, because they're they're diametrically opposed. Like, being a game dev is not running a business, and being a business person is not running a game company. So you've got to, not being able to build games. So the business can run the game company, but to build games, you got to learn game dev. You got to actually know what you're talking about. And so that's Michael, my business partner, our CEO. He doesn't know how to build a game. We need Daniel for that. And that's why Daniel's locked into a beautiful contract, because we know we need Daniel. There's no way this works without Daniel's big brain when it comes to what can be done and what can't be done, because we obviously all want the world. We want the world. And like, if you look at our Discord, every day there's, could the characters do? Sure, everything's possible. Enough money, enough time, enough devs. But when you're trying, and Daniel's got a thing he calls line in the sand. The line in the sand is drawn, and he calls it 1.0. That is the fucking game. That's what we're building. Don't ask for being able to jump. Jumping wasn't in it. That wasn't part of the fucking game. Oh, but how hard is it to put jumping in? No, there'll be no fucking jumping in 1.0. All right. And you got to learn that. That's really hard to learn, because that's called bracket creep. In business, we call it bracket creep. In game dev, they call it feature creep. So feature creep kills games. You can't keep adding stuff, because every time you add something, you break something. And it's very hard to add something in without breaking other things. So you've got to have a line that you draw and say, this is 1.0. So Nexus is released, and people have been saying, oh, where's all the new features? We've been balancing 1.0 up till now. And that's 12 people working on it to get it to where it is now. Now we've got a really smooth, really nice 1.0. It's a bit flat. It's nowhere near what we want. It's not League of Legends yet. And we know that. And that's what's so fucking annoying about influencers, is influencers come in and go, oh, yeah, it's not really League of Legends. Well, duh, shithead. Of course it's not League of Legends, because they've been going for 15 years. And what's their budget, Jet? Is their budget
All
Like,
right, too much money. There's no point putting a number.
yeah, it's like we actually met the dev who runs League of Legends servers, and he's an Australian guy, and I think they've got 3,000 engineers around the world
Yeah.
to run League of Legends. Like, it's insane. It's not, oh, there's 12 guys in a basement building a fucking game. This is like, so yeah, you gotta understand all those pieces, and as you understand them and work out what's going on. But yeah, influencers don't understand that games take time, and you build 1.0, and now we're working on
And it,
what.
we
Sorry,
didn't
go on.
want to make the, and we wanted to make sure we didn't really care whether the game was perfect. We just wanted to get a game out to prove we were building something, as all these other gaming studios have. They got really nice trailers, really nice
Oh yeah,
pictures, really nice
it's easy to
everything.
build a nice trailer.
Very easy to build a nice trailer without a UI and without a game behind it and without like showing the full system of the game. It's really easy to make that nice and look really good. It's hard to get that finished and build it. So that was one of our key concerns. We'd been out for a year and a half before we released Nexus, and we wanted to make sure it wasn't much longer after that to make sure yes, the product might not be state of the art and the best right now, but we plan to continue building on it. But we wanted to make sure there was a product there that people could see. And you can jump in right now and have a look for yourself on that Epic Store.
Yeah,
That's not going anywhere, and we're going to keep improving that
it'll
to
get
make
better.
sure
Yeah,
it's good.
we're working on
100%.
2.0 now. 2.0 is
Yeah.
under construction, and there's part of the team working on that, and there's part of the team making the 1.1. I think we're up to 1.3 or something now. So there's been balancing things that have been done. But like in digital marketing, there's a saying, done is better than perfect. And I tell you, it's a really good thing, because digital marketing, and that's specific for digital marketing, but there's overlay back into game dev.
We talk
With
about that
digital,
in the AMA division. We say perfect is the enemy of the good all the time. We said it today in one of our DMs.
well, there you go. That's exactly right. Because if you're the sort of person that has to have perfect, you won't have enough content out in the marketplace. Content is about, like, we live in this sugar frenzied world that people are going from donut to coffee to whatever else. I obviously like donuts, but the
That he does.
when Homer says donut, I totally get what he's talking about. Yeah, it's so, um, but like, you need to be able to get stuff done and not get locked into, is it exactly right? And if you get locked into is it exactly right, you'll kill it, because
Yeah,
you'll never get enough content out. So
and I think it actually just starts, at least in the West and I assume in Australia, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's how our education system is built. Here's a project, an assignment.
yep,
You finish it, make it as close to perfect as possible, and then you submit it, and then it's done. You're
yep,
evaluated and keeps moving. When in business, it's much more often best to get to minimal viable product, release, and then iterate. And the market's going to tell you pretty quick if you're right or wrong, and usually are pretty comfortable depending on what, if you're making a surgical implant, yeah, you better make that perfect before you go in, or you're fucked.
yeah,
But for most, particularly games and such, get to a product, get it delivered, get it into the hands of gamers, and then iterate from there.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
I think you've nailed it. What is my minimum satisfactory product? And then how do I get that out? Don't let bracket creep kill you, where you just
Totally.
keep adding more and more features, trying to make it better and better.
So I want to talk a little bit about the assets within the ecosystem, because we don't have a tremendous amount of time left, but we kind of talked about the ecosystem, how you guys got here, just kind of the structure. You have your own IP, you're working with other devs, you built out your system, you have your in-house game dev team. We talked about like succession planning, with Jed and your brother kind of taking on the business side, the game dev side. So that's very bullish, all pun intended, for a very long-term outlook on the project.
I'm
Um,
old.
maybe talk about. I hear donuts help with that, so you're good. But maybe you could talk a little bit about the nodes and the tokens. What role exactly do they play within the ecosystem, and how does value accrue to those over time?
The node system is so in games, you have to make a choice when you make a game on what bandwidth you're using. So Web3 is not at the stage yet where we can run Nexus on it. So Nexus needs really low ping and needs really high throughput to make the game fun to play. So you've got to make sure you're making you're making apples for the apple sauce, if that makes sense. You're picking apples for the. So we've got to make sure that the platform it's going to be on is correct. So a mobile game might be able to go on Web3, like up onto the actual blockchain and be on the blockchain, but anything past that is not going to do it. So we've made a very set line that these games are to be run on Amazon servers and like any normal game, and they're downloaded off the Epic Game Store. And there will be other games that are built just to be Web3. So our internet, our Web3 side, our blockchain side, is more about storing NFTs and data for the games, and the games access that. So our APIs jump backwards and forwards. When you log into Nexus, it actually reads your wallet, and the wallet tells you what NFTs you own, and it loads them into the game for you. But the actual NFTs are all like the information of the NFT is stored on the blockchain, but the actual skin is stored on the server. So we're not downloading massive information off the blockchain. It's just literally data on the blockchain. And at this stage, with the technology available, that seems to be the most efficient way to run it. So we've got two dev teams, well, multiple dev teams, but we've got game dev teams, then we've got our Web3 dev team. So we've got 4 full-time Web3 devs, and they're great, and they're learning on the job. It's such a new industry. There's just not a lot of everyone. Sorry, mate.
So is everyone. Every blockchain dev is learning on the job.
Yeah.
There is no other option. Like we're one of 13 people who have built those Avalanche subnet properly. Like I think if you look at the list, there's only 13, and we're one of them. So we're Playa3ull Games mainnet. So that has all the, as Dad said, NFTs and the bull token for gas fees, and that's the asset side of the games that'll be run on the blockchain.
And we use Bullcoin for all transactions. So that's our difference between us and Gala, is that we're not making a new coin for every single game. So we felt that was a really dangerous scenario, especially considering that there's 850 games made a week and most of them fail. So if you're selling a coin for a single game and most games fail, that means you're selling most coins that are going to fail. So we thought that was crazy. We thought it's much fairer to sell one coin. You buy the bull coin, and that gives you 30 chances at a minimum, because we're going to have probably several hundred games on our platform over time, but 30 definite swings at the ball to hit it out of the park. And we thought that was a much nicer supporters option for our supporters to get involved with, and much lower risk that you're going to get a good strike.
That makes a lot of sense. So all the games are running as normal. They have some components which do have some sort of Web3 integration, like on the asset side. The transferring and the ownership of those will be visually rendered within the game using a Web2 server, but the actual ownership and the metadata side will be used, or will exchange, and transactions will happen on your blockchain, the gas token of which will be the bull token. So the bull token accrues value because over time, as more transactions happen, because more players do more things, more interactions happen, more gas is consumed, creating a demand for the bull token, which increases the value because there's more demand for it.
Absolutely. And every NFT has to be bought with bull token, and every time you Yeah, so basically all of our
trade or
assets.
sell an NFT. We
Yeah,
have our own marketplace on the DApp, and all our stuff is done because it's
yeah.
our
If
own
you check,
blockchain.
if
It's
you
our ecosystem. So we
Mhm.
have everything on the DApp, and you buy, sell, trade your NFTs. All your node stuff is on there as well. It's all connected. It's all our little ecosystem
yeah, we had an
that we're
influence the
building
other
it.
day come into our DApp. If you go to Playable Games website and then go to our app, it says app. That is a completely separate Web3 DApp that's part of the website. And as this guy said, this is the best Web3 DApp in the whole world, which I was quite surprised about. But it is very nice, and our dev team's done an amazing job getting it. It's smooth. It works. It works pretty much all the time. We have full-time devs available to fix problems, so we're not a one-man team where I'm doing an AMA with you guys, but so I can't answer any questions with a problem someone's got. So there's problems all the time in Web3. Um, people send the wrong coin to the wrong wallet, or we've got a problem at the moment with Tangem. Tangem is sort of advertising they're all places, all things, and people keep sending our coin to Tangem, which they haven't integrated yet. It can be integrated, it will be integrated. So all of the people that have our coin sent to their Tangem wallet, when Tangem turns it on and puts our blockchain into it, it'll work, and or their coins will show up.
Yeah,
But
the specific problem is CoinMarketCap doesn't actually have a distinct place to show you have your own blockchain. So people go straight to CoinMarketCap and Playable, they see Wrapped Bull on AVAX and they go, oh, that's their token. And they don't think further from it. So then they go buy the token on Mexi, L Bank, Bitmart, and withdraw,
which is
and they
which is
don't.
not Wrapped Bull. They're not buying
And
Wrapped Bull on
well, I
Mexi.
would
Yeah,
say that eventually. Let me
sorry.
speak. And on the network, it says playable, not Avalanche, and they don't read that. They just go, oh, must be something wrong or something, and then they just go send it. And a lot of people don't like sending tests, which interests me because I don't like losing my money. And if it's something I've never used before, I'd send a test first. But anyways, so then they send the bull to the thing because I just think it's rat bull. Whereas so we now have, if you look on CoinMarketCap, a big banner saying we have our own blockchain. There are two bulls, rat bull and bull. Don't make sure you know what you're doing before you send it anywhere. So yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one when people just go straight to CoinMarketCap, and it's hard to show that we have our actual own blockchain already and it's all set up, and you need to add the custom network to your MetaMask to make sure it all works out.
And in the long run, are you guys going to have like liquidity available for like other tokens on the Bull network and have other like DeFi infrastructure pieces built on chain? Like, what's the future of the network really look like in you guys' mind?
Not in the current future. The problem with adding more tokens is you devalue Bull. You're adding more tokens to the ecosystem. So unless they bring,
What are you asking? You're asking adding more coins for games, or are you
yeah, he
asking
said
allowing
like,
other tokens to purchase?
Yeah, no, like for example, let's say that you've made a big investment in Bull and it 100x's from now and you want to take some chips off the table. Right now, you kind of have to send that back to Avalanche and trade your wrap Bull for USDC or whatever. But will there be native USDC, for example, and like swap mechanisms and exchanges and stuff all on the Bull network? Or is that strictly for the games to use and for your own stuff? And then anytime you want to like cash out, you send that off to the Avalanche network and do everything there.
No, well, I think the answer to that is everything's permissible once you got the money in the time. So yes, I mean obviously,
yeah, if it's like USDC, sure, that's fine.
yeah, credit card payments and all that stuff is on our list of things to do. If you haven't noticed, the American government is doing almost, I would believe, everything they possibly can to make life difficult for Web3. Like I've never seen an industry. I mean, actually, that's probably not true. I know that when Henry Ford had the car coming, the coach industry and stuff did a lot of stuff to. I don't know if you know that story about the red flag.
No.
So there's actually a law in Australia. I think it's actually still in the actual laws, but you're supposed to have a person running in front of your car with a flag. So they're supposed to run. So cars were only permitted on the roads if someone was running in front of them with the flag. So to tell people there's a car coming, there's a car coming. So, but of course, the real reason was they didn't want cars to go faster than horses. So, because horses and carriages were what the industry was, and the people in power were coach building companies and stuff like that. So, so that's what we're witnessing now. Is we're witnessing another version of that, where the old money system is trying to stop the new money system from coming through, and unfortunately, they're shitting all over the whole Web3 industry, which is not just about money; it's about a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, when that's out of the way, and like we would have had credit card integrated months ago, had there not been such a massive technical problem because banks just do not want to be involved. So it's really problematic, and hopefully it'll get worked out as BlackRock comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
but
see
and
there.
also
Oh, sorry,
you go.
Jet.
No, you go. It's fine.
Well, I was going to say it's, a well-established playbook that they brushed off for the cannabis industry. So in Colorado, cannabis is legal, and if you go to a dispensary, even though it's been legal for over a decade now in Colorado, you most often pay in cash, or there's a couple like debit workarounds because the banks just don't take it. And then people start to game that. So we had a dispensary that was taking credit cards, but people would buy $300 worth of cannabis, then call Amex and cancel it. And the cannabis company had no recourse because they're
Yeah,
like, yeah, you're a gray market industry. We're not helping you, bud.
yeah.
So, they're pulling that out of the old playbook, and obviously it's effective. It certainly makes things much harder.
Oh yeah, they used to do like where you would have to use your credit card to buy in-store points and then use the in-store points to buy the merch, and then then you'd be able to maybe work around the system that way. But like yeah, but people come up with really brilliant ways to get around that. But
Oh yeah.
thinking of industries like this, like do you guys see it getting easier or more difficult over time? And what do you guys think about like, BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard signaling that they are interested in getting into the blockchain game? Um, Maybe I should rephrase that. The blockchain industry and using that technology. Um, ha- do you feel like that's going to really affect you guys besides potentially an absolute tidal wave of liquidity coming into the system? How are you guys thinking about that?
I would think that if 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 it's not subterfuge and bullshit, which I'm presuming at this point it's not. I like Raoul Pal. I think he's got a pretty good vision of what's going on. Um, he's saying it's not bullshit. It's all fair income. They want to actually. I mean, we've seen the narrative change. The narrative like a year ago was anything to do with crypto was still drug laundering and money laundering and drug trading, and the criminal element of the world was using crypto to move money. And then suddenly this year the narrative's changed to it's a flight to safety. And so they're very strong narratives being changed. So there's almost no talk now of crypto being bad. That's all gone. So that's not the narrative anymore. So that looks like it's for real and it's going to change. And the car industry beat the coach industry. So there comes a point where if you made coaches, you better start working out how to build a car body, because that's the natural evolution of what you do. If you keep denying that cars are coming, you end up just like a buggy whip. There's a famous line out of a film where Dan DeVito says, "You're just making buggy whips." There's no use being the best buggy whip manufacturer in the world when there's no buggies. So you've got to change. You've got to do something different with what you're doing. So I think BlackRock's accepted. And am I right? Whether they have, I don't know. I don't have that information. But I'm looking from what I'm seeing. I think it's going to be true that they're coming, and they've realised they're late to the party. And we've watching Bitcoin the last couple of months. There's candles there where there's $3 billion worth of trading, like green candle trading going on, 3 billion in a day. That ain't mum and pop buying. So, like, there's people buying large chunks of Bitcoin at the moment, and
That's
obviously
Jet. That's
Ethereum.
Jet buying again. That's Jed entering.
Cashing in those Doge winnings you hid in your
That's
secret
right.
wallet.
That's right.
I only sold half, Dad.
Oh, don't. Oh, fuck me. The day Doge went up to 70 cents or something, Jet was in my room going, "You told me to sell it." And
I
it's
would have held on.
it's totally true. I mean, I was so angry at him because I'd done all this study on how Bitcoin, like what proper cryptocurrency is, and how Doge was a joke and it was supposed to be funny and it's got no utility and it should never be worth it. Like people say to me every week, "Oh yeah, why do you think Bullcoin's going to get any value?" And I just replied, "Doge. That's why. It's Doge is 7 cents, and there's no limit to how many they make. They make whatever it's 144 million a day or something every day. So like they keep making them, and it's still 7 cents. People just accept that it's 7 cents. There's no fundamentals. There's no utility. There's no nothing. So crypto has this amazing ability to throw away the fundamentals and just go on a gut feeling of what you think something's worth. And so we believe that if we build a proper company that has the proper fundamentals and actually build something out that is based on truth, that we're building games, we're selling items, we're actually transacting, and we're building something that's real, that will flow on down the line and the value will go up. But so, yeah, that's where we're heading.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming on to the show today. I know we're a bit over time here. Nick, unless you have any other last questions you wanted to pop in here, we'll begin to wrap it up.
No, good to wrap it up. Just big thank you for me. I think that was a great conversation. I hope the listeners, particularly those who are in, the game development field, busted out their notebooks and took some notes there because I think there are some really good lessons. And, particularly obviously me and Ben talked to a lot of games, a lot of awesome games. One thing I'd say is, we usually get the rose-colored glasses story. So to actually have, the background and the problems and how you dealt with them and where something went wrong, I think is worth its weight in gold. So I appreciate you guys, sharing the story and certainly looking forward to, continuing the conversation as things develop.
Well, I mean, if you haven't been in business before, that is what a business is. It's a series of things going wrong, and you have to adapt to them, and you have to move. Like, there's no like the charting analogy is perfect. There's no straight up.
There is right now on AVAX.
Yeah, AVAX, right.
And Solana.
Wow. Look at AVAX. Holy smoke. I haven't even looked at that. Okay. Besides AVAX, there's no straight up. But no, look at any chart, and it's a series of steps and ups and downs and retracements and accumulation periods, and that is what building a business is. And if you're coming to this as an entrepreneur and you think it's all roses and beer with mates and just a great time, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. It's a struggle and it's a battle, and you've got to come to it every day with the attitude that we're going to solve these problems and we're going to work through them. And funding definitely helps that. I mean, this is the first time I've ever run a business where I've had funding. And this is why the rich do an IPO, because when you have funding, you can hire the expertise you need. And if I had one piece of advice for any dev, work out how to get your funding and then go hire the expertise you need. So I know I'm not a game developer. I will never be a game developer. I can't go back. I'm 58 years old. I can't go back to school and become one. I mean, I could, but what a terribly hard, long way to do it. It's much better for me to go and hire someone who's got 20 years experience. And that's the other thing. You can't grow an 18-year-old faster than 18 years. It takes 18 years to grow an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old, as you got here. So it's that there's no truer statement than that. It takes time, and you gotta put the effort in and know that there's a challenge every day that you're gonna have to solve. And some of them are going to be easy, some of them are going to be hard. Money makes it easier. great teams make it the best. If you get a good team and money, well, then you should be able to be successful.
Rock on. Jet, any final words for us?
Ordinum alpha test for
Yeah.
VI3s and node owners out in 2 days if people want to try our card game.
That's our Magic the Gathering. Samuel, Jet's brother, has built that. He's been the executive producer on it. So he's just finished his diploma. We're just like slapping our thighs, laughing how stupid it is. He's just finished a diploma in game development and design, and he's releasing his first game that he's had a 20-year veteran game team build for him. So it's like it's a little bit unfair to the rest of every other game dev in the world, but it's playing beautifully. It's our 1.0 version. It's not got all the effects and stuff in it that it will have.
Those alpha.
But it's alpha.
Not done.
It's closed alpha, and but it's actually playing well, and it's complicated. It's like the old Magic the Gathering. It's a proper game you're gonna have to learn, and it's not just a cheesy little knockoff of it. That's sort of like Web3 has this terrible ability to make shit, and playable games is we're going out of our way to do the opposite. We're trying to bring proper games to the industry that people can be proud of. So yeah, Jet's right. That's worth a look when it comes out.
Love it.
And then that's it from us, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I would encourage everybody to go grab a node. We're going to have some codes in the description here, wherever you're watching this. Grab some nodes, join the fun, go play some games. And yeah, appreciate it, you guys. Thanks for coming out. Nick,
Mate,
as
thanks for having
always,
us.
a pleasure, friend. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.